I think that we are heading into, it's not me, the party's assessment of a highly explosive moment in U.S. politics. And it seems somewhat calm right now. Maybe, there's it's not 35 million people in the streets like the summer of 2020, but that's going to happen again. And that's going to happen with actually greater frequency. And even, I would say, even on a bigger scale in the years to come. And we can remember how that...
As a point of reference, this was a year ago. He said this last year. We're going to see the riots of 2020 happen again and on a greater scale. And if I were a betting person, I would say we're going to see them happen next summer, right before the election. Sustained bullshit all throughout the summer. And I think they're going to do it in Florida because they're really teeing each other up about Florida. They're setting up all these offices in Florida. They're planning on flying people into Florida the first time a teacher gets fired. Let's listen to him say that again. We're going to be seeing the riots of 2020 again with greater frequency because this is their playbook. Remember, the 4 goals of the woke left are always and forever the same. Gain as much power as possible, destabilize the system, attack capitalism, usher in their Marxist utopia. The riots of 2020 were about the second goal, which is destabilizing the system. Destabilization is a feature. It is not a bug. It is and they cause problems when they're destabilizing it, which they blame on capitalism. And then they say, how about we try Marxism instead? So let's listen again. That's right, Jane. This is the perpetual revolution. And always remember, your overreaction is the point. Exactly.
Of a highly explosive moment in U.S. politics. And it seems somewhat calm right now. Maybe, there's it's not 35 million people in the streets like the summer of 2020, but that's going to happen again. And that's going to happen with actually greater frequency and even, I would say, even on a bigger scale in the years to come. And we can remember how that impacted consciousness. People started raising radical slogans and envisioning a different way to prioritize resources and started making demands. Even Joe Biden adopted a somewhat left-wing domestic program for a few months. That was the anger and demands of the...
They are very aware of the effectiveness of destabilizing the system. That's why they're going to use it again and again and again and again and again. And that's right. If people didn't react to them and they just ignored them and they let them go about their business, it would be really confusing to these people because they want your reaction. Your reaction is the goal.
The masses. Of course, he dropped it as quickly as he could, and his party itself sort of gutted that program where we're talking about universal childcare and actually relieving student debt and all sorts of other things that were just left at the wayside. But ultimately, it's the struggle itself which is going to produce the mass interest in radical politics and radical programs. But we can't come up with those in the moment, right? We have to come up with those, and some of them will come up in the moment, but a lot have to be developed in advance. And our goal is to try to win a majority of the working class to socialism explicitly. Because if we just are in the struggle and then people say, hey, you're a really good organizer, and you say, yeah, I'm glad you're working with me. How about, socialist revolution? It's a big jump because they've already heard all these other things about socialist revolution. So we have to be able to win people to the idea of socialism as we're organizing in the ongoing struggles. We can't do it in a dogmatic way where we say the answer to every problem is socialism and socialism is our only demand and so forth. But as people begin to move, they begin to question things. And there's always time to take a few seconds, take a few minutes, organize a meeting or a study group to really think about big picture politics. We named the book Reconstruction, Socialist Reconstruction, for a reason, because this country has seen highly explosive, turbulent times before. And the history of Reconstruction is one where the formerly enslaved really led the way in a lot of areas in trying to recreate society in the ashes of the old. And so there is a radical revolutionary history that we also need to study here. So organizing and studying, it all has to go together. But the 2024 elections, could become the site of a serious, almost pre-revolutionary crisis in the United States. And it might seem.
Whoa! The 2024 election might be the site of a pre-revolutionary crisis in the United States. There it is. There it is. There it is. He said it. He really said it. He really said it. Well, well, well. Everyone, I'm going to make a clip of this. I'm going to make lots of clips from this. Share this. Get on my Substack, carlin.substack.com. I'm putting this in the Substack later tonight, guys. Share this. Let's listen again. See, I just knew that if we just listened to enough socialist content, they would tell us what they're doing about the elections. We just need to listen to them until they effing say it.
Really led the way in a lot of areas in trying to recreate society in the ashes of the old. And so there is a radical revolutionary history that we also need to study here. So organizing and studying, it all has to go together. But the 2024 elections, could become the site of a serious, almost pre-revolutionary crisis in the United States. And it might seem far off because we're 2 years away and because there's not 35 million people in the streets. But for instance, if the Republican Party succeeds at overthrowing the popular vote at the state level and allowing independent state legislatures to pick the electors regardless of how people vote, and that's what is going to be discussed in the Supreme Court in Moore v. Harper. Dobbs was a shot at people's right to body autonomy. It took away abortion, but it's going to be affirmative action. It's going to be voting rights. It's going to be how even the electors are chosen for the Electoral College. We're heading into extremely turbulent, explosive times.
They're trying to delegitimize the Supreme Court.
Being organized and not leaving it to, for instance, the Democratic Party or anyone else
the Democrats
to save democracy or save our rights. That's not going to happen. It's going to require the people themselves feeling collectively as the agents of history to be able to defend our rights. And in fact, not just defend, but fight for something new, because the level of rights that we had were quite impoverished already. And in fact, we have to really have a new battle for democracy, a battle for true democracy, not just a battle for hollow democracy where you only get to vote every 2 to 4 years over who will exploit you, but democracy where you're controlling the decisions about your neighborhood, about your workplace, democracy that includes, as you say, making all the things that we need to survive available, not just
We've been talking about for weeks now, when socialists say democracy, they don't mean democracy as in one person, one vote, and the best man wins. What they mean when they say democracy is socialism. Anything that is not socialism is not democratic. He just said that. He just said that out loud. This is not democracy between you get to vote for the two parties, you get to vote for the oppressors. This is democracy as in socialism, as in everyone gets to have a say. They mean that true democracy is socialism. Holy shit. Let's listen again.
Impoverished already. And in fact, we have to really have a new battle for democracy, a battle for true democracy, not just a battle for hollow democracy where you only get to vote every 2 to 4 years over who will exploit you, but democracy where you're controlling the decisions about your neighborhood, about your workplace, democracy that includes, as you say, making all the things that we need to survive available.
Socialism.
Not just affordable, available.
That means a socialism. Available means socialism. It means free. It means socialism.
Thank you, VJ. Great question.
Yes, great question, VJ. We appreciate you.
Nice. Thank